Alicia was diagnosed at about 8 months old. She was, her coloring was yellow to orange. They couldn't figure out what was going on with her. She was listless. And when we finally found out that it was Thalassaemia, I mean, it turned out that we had to take Alicia for a blood transfusion every 2 weeks. It was horrible. I mean, the idea of trying to find a vein on a little baby and giving her somebody else's blood was scary, scary and terrible. And then worse than that is we found out that this blood that was going to keep her alive would eventually kill her. That getting that much red blood would bring an enormous amount of iron into her body, and that iron would kill her. We learned about a medication that was delivered through an infusion pump that would take some of the iron out. And what I remember so vividly was holding her down when she was a little baby and putting this needle in her belly to give her this medicine every single night of her life. And then congratulating her for staying still while I hurt her. I wanted to congratulate her for doing her homework or tying her shoes, not for staying still while her father sticks her with a needle. It was terrible.
Having thalassemia as a 27-year-old adult is very different from having it as a child. All the responsibility is on you. I feel extremely blessed to have made it to 27 with little to no complications. There's a lot that I go through day to day that I think people don't think about, as far as the infusion pump giving me a lot of skin irritations, infections, abscesses, scar tissue, an awful lot of pain. You run out of spots being a human pincushion. So it's managing things like that when you're a kid you never think is going to fall upon you. And as an adult, you really have to make sure everything is right on point so that you can live not only a life, but your best life.
The patient has to put this pump on in order to live, but if they don't put the pump on today, they don't feel any different tomorrow. If they don't put it on tomorrow, they don't feel any different the next day. This could go on for weeks or months without feeling any differently, and then suddenly the iron accumulation is too much and that child dies.
I'm being transfused in a clinic with however many patients that sometimes don't show up the next time you go to the hospital. Sorry. I've had a couple different friends that look fine because you don't see the effects of what's happening, and then someday you just don't see them anymore. And you think, what could I have done to help them, or what can I do to help myself? Because this just became much more real.
I lost my son Nicholas to Cooley's anemia when he was 21 years old. It was a very, very, very tough time. He developed congestive heart failure, and that was as a result of the iron overload in his blood, which is what happens when there's too much blood transfusions and they can't get rid of the iron. And I want to stay involved with the Cooley's anemia because I think it's important to continue the fight to try to find a cure.
Right now, we're on the cusp of something great. Gene therapy is happening. Dr. Sadelein, who the foundation sponsored years ago, and he cured thalassemia in the mouse model with gene therapy, is now doing gene therapy trials in humans right here in New York.
Our goal is to find a cure for thalassemia, not just a treatment that improves the life of thalassemic patients under conditions where they still require transfusions and a large number of medications, but to find a cure.
What it will mean is that as time goes by from the transplant, within 3 to 6 months, the gene will be expressed in the new stem cells and the new red cells, and the patients will need less and less transfusions as time goes by, to the ultimate point of what we've been hoping for and working for, that the patient will no longer need any transfusions, and it will be the cure for the disease.
In these stem cells, we introduce a normal copy, a functional copy of the beta-globin gene to do that, we need what's called a vector to shuttle the gene inside the patient's cells. The manufacture of the vector, as you asked, is both complicated and expensive.
Right now, the only amount of vector we have to treat for patients is only for 10 patients. And so the two things that we'll need is a production and obviously money to be able to make the vector.
It costs close to $1 million to make the first batch of vector, which is enough for approximately 10 patients. I do hope that in the future the cost will go down, like the cost of computers went down over the years, but at this time, that's how much it costs just to make the vector itself.
For us, it's the holy grail of what we've been doing is to try to cure the disease with putting the gene back into the cells. And if this works as it's looking like it's going to do, then yes, we have actually found the holy grail.
What we went through as a family losing a child, I really don't want to see any other family go through that. So whatever I can do to help out, bringing my friends to the dance, is very, very important that we find a cure.
There are times where I feel really lucky to have trauma in my life so that I can appreciate the good. Without dark, there can't be light. Right now, there's a lot going on in my life. I am a holistic health counselor, so I help people find their happiest, healthiest selves, which in turn makes me find my happiest and healthiest self.
The relationship has evolved, and by now this has become not just a project. It's not a project anymore. It's a cause. It's a goal in life.
If we were bigger and had a bunch more money that we could help Dr. Sadelain with, I think we could see this disease eradicated very, very soon through gene therapy.